Hey, hello. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Modesty's Money Masterclass, episode number 31. Episode number 31. We are 31 episodes strong on this Modesty's Money Masterclass, something that started, just a joke, saying, okay, let me share a few things with my friends. And then here we are, episode number 31 down the line, and we are still strong, and we're still motivated, and we're still going, and we'll keep going as long as you are still there listening to us. I remain your man, Ikenna Umezudike, the director of Modesty's Financial Consultants Limited in Luton, United Kingdom, a financial services company committed to offering you the best of mortgage advice, investment and financial advisory services, and financial planning as you would love it, and financial consulting. So there we go. In this episode, we're going to do something very special. Hey, Kay, well done. Thanks, man. So we're going to be talking about basically something I have termed the 7 financial commandments. Yeah, the 7 financial commandments. Now, this episode is inspired by a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. Many of you may have read the book. Many of you may have heard of it, but not read it. Many of you may not even have heard of it, neither have they read it. But that is where we are drawing the inspiration from this series from. So we're not going to be discussing the whole 7 financial commitments in this one episode. We're going to break it down into a couple of episodes. The reason being that I really like breaking things down to a very simple principle and to a very simple level where everybody can grab it and everybody can run with it and everybody can resonate with it. It's not just about rushing things through and then just to say I've made a lot of points. Meanwhile, none of those points have been driven down. So I want to drive each of these points in so much so that you will recognize, you will grab it, you'll be able to memorize it, and you'll be able to practice it. Because it is only when you put it to practice and when it benefits you, that is when I derive joy from that. Because remember, this is a financial journey that all of us are embarking upon, and I am part of that journey, but I want you to come along with me as we learn along. Namdi, well done, bro. Welcome. Thanks for coming on board. I want you to learn with me and to come on board with me as we begin to change our financial lives together significantly. Okay? So, The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, this book was written by an author called George Clason. It's one of the biggest, most influential, most important personal finance books that you will ever read. If you haven't read it, I recommend you go and read it. If you've read it, fine and good. Please adhere to all the principles that you've learned from it. So the reason I picked it out is because it's the principles that are mentioned in this book are very simple and practical. They are not sophisticated. They are not things that are pulled out of, out of the air, out of the thin air. They are things that you encounter in your everyday life. And as simple and as practical it is, you will not begin to wonder, why have I not been doing this? Why are many people not doing it? The simple things are really the things that people ignore the most because they think they already have it in their grasp, meanwhile they don't have it. And those are the simple things and the simple applications that normally spoils things for you and they damage big things for you. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of background to this book and what we are going to be talking about. Now, the 7 financial commandments, as I have termed it, in that book it was called the 7 cures to a lean purse. All right. Now, the background to it is that it was based on a fictional description of the city of Babylon. So the king, on coming back from one of his victorious warfares and came back, and then he met the chancellor of Babylon. Celestine, well done, bro. Thanks for coming on board. The chancellor said to the king, a lot of people in this city, and Babylon used to be known as a very, very wealthy city, with a lot of wealth flowing in it, and bulk of the wealth was built out of the people's grit and hard work. Because Babylon used to be a desert. There was no water, there was nothing. So they built it into such a prosperous city, fortified by solid walls. And the people in there were doing lots of business and commerce, and they were prosperous. It was the envy of all cities. Now the king came back from one of their victorious warfares, and the chancellor, the one looking after the treasury of Babylon, said to the king, a lot of people in this city are poor. Only a handful are rich. And it's not good for the health and the wealth status of the city for only a handful of people to be rich while majority are poor. And I have mentioned in one of my posts before on Facebook that a wealthy nation is not a nation with few wealthy people. Unless the wealth goes round and spreads round and everybody is wealthy and happy, a nation cannot be wealthy and they cannot be happy. A few wealthy individuals do not make a wealthy nation. Now, that was the same principle that was echoed by this particular chancellor to the king. So he got the king worried, and he said, so what can we do? He said, well, maybe we can call on the wealthy people to teach those who are not wealthy how they became wealthy. And that was how the king now said, that's a very good idea. Now they called on one of the characters in the book called Arkad. Arkad was the richest man in Babylon at that point in time. And the king summoned him and said, look, Arkad, you made a lot of wealth, but a lot of people in this city are suffering and they are poor. Will it be too much to ask of you to teach these people the principles that helped you get as much welfare as you are enjoying? Chetachuku, well done. Thanks for coming on board, bro. And Arkad said, well, I'm at your service, sir. And the king was delighted. And he said, what do we do? Arkad said, get me 100 people, right, that I can teach the principles of wealth making and principles of wealthiness so that they can, in turn, teach other people. And they said, that's it. They gathered 100 people into the hall for Arkad to teach them the principles, the things that made him rich, the things that made him the wealthiest and the richest man in Babylon. So, and that was the background. Now the Arkad now started teaching these 100 people the steps, the principles that they need to apply if they wanted to become as wealthy as he was. So those principles that Arkad taught those 100 people was what he termed 7 cures to a lean purse. And I have termed it 7 financial commandments, so that you will understand how important it is for you to adhere to these 7 principles if you ever want to become wealthy or you want to have any kind of financial success in life. And I don't mean just success that is spontaneous and disappears tomorrow. Continuous success and wealth that will make you rich and truly wealthy, because that is where you know that you're wealthy, if it's continuous and it can last generations. Not something that you get today and then you hammer today, tomorrow it disappears. That's what we are teaching here, principles that will make your wealth continuous and make them keep coming and keep flowing. It doesn't finish. All right? So those are the things I have broken down there that I'm going to be talking about. And remember, I said we're not going to talk about the whole 7 of them today. We're going to pick a few. I mean a couple, and then over the next couple of weeks, we're going to treat all of them and give them the time and the justice that they require. So we're going to talk about, the first commandment. The first commandment that Arkad taught these people was to start fattening your purse. The first commandment of the financial commandments is to start fattening your purse. Now, how do you fatten your purse? Your purse represents your money bag, right? What goes into your money bag or your pocket each time you are paid. So your earnings, right? That's your purse. But actually, where your income goes into is not actually your own purse. That is the general purse where every income goes in and from where everybody is paid. Then your own purse is where you keep the money that you pay yourself. And that is what Arkad is now saying, that you should start fattening that purse. Now, how do you fatten that purse? What Arkad is simply saying is that you cultivate the habit of savings. Cultivate the habit of savings habits. If you earn money, whether you are employed or self-employed or you are semi-employed, as long as you are earning money, you have a potential and the capacity to become wealthy. All right? As long as there's any kind of earnings at all that you are making, that is the first step. You are already on the platform. You already have the leverage to determine what happens to your financial future because you earn. So you earn a salary or you earn from your business as a self-employed person. As long as there is something you are doing that is bringing in an income, there is wealth to be created around you and within you. And that's what we are here to teach you, how to make that earnings turn into wealth. Right, so to create the habits of savings, anyone who has earnings has potential to become wealthy. We have stated that. Now, what you now need to do is to commit to saving at least 10% of everything you earn. Commit to saving at least 10% of everything you earn each time you get paid. Right? When you do that, that is when your purse starts to get fat. That's when you start fattening your own purse. Now, look at it this way. You get paid, right? But you have to pay every single person. You pay your electricity bill. You pay the person selling food in the market to buy their food. You pay your water bill. You pay your council tax. You will pay your rent. Your landlord is paid. You pay your mortgage. The bank is paid. You pay off your credit. You pay your credit card bills. The banks are paid. You pay your loans. The banks are paid. You pay your car finance. The car finance people are paid. If there is anybody you have borrowed, if you have bought anything on credit, your furniture, your TV, or your dining table, or your wardrobe, or anything you bought on finance, you pay those people. They are paid. All right? If your car is bad and you need to go and fix it, the mechanic gets paid. If your house needs repairing, the builder gets paid. Everybody gets paid from what you are paid. The question then is, how much are you paying yourself, the earner? So the 10% you are taking out of your earnings is your own wages. That's what you are paying yourself. And the idea is to pay yourself first before you pay anybody else. So the moment the earnings are coming in, the moment those income are coming in, the moment that income comes into your pocket, the first thing you do is pay yourself first, irrespective of what is happening around you. I know it might sound a little bit unrealistic to some people, a little bit harsh to some people, and some might just say this is just an idealistic situation. It doesn't apply in real life. Trust me, it applies in real life. And as we go on, you will understand how it applies in real life, because as we go on with this lesson of 7 financial commandments, you will understand how these things apply in real life. But the key thing here is building the habit, cultivating the habit of savings. Because if you start with saving at least 10% of whatever you earn in a month, let's say you are earning £2,000, for example, in a month. The moment your salary comes in, or your wages comes in, you take 10% of which is £200 and put it in a savings account or into whatever account you've set up to pay yourself. And that is your own way. So all your disposable income then becomes £1,800. What you then need to do is to learn to live on that 90% of your income that is left. Yeah, you will discover that when you learn to live on the 90% that is left, you will still do as well as you used to do when you were spending 100% of what you were earning. What you lacked before then was financial discipline. What you lacked before then was mistaken priority. Things that you thought mattered a lot. When you start living on 90% of your salary or your earnings, you realize those things didn't really matter until you made them matter. right? There are basic things that are necessary for you to survive as a human being, as an individual. And you can survive on 90% of your income if you really want to. But what happens is that sometimes we do not understand that that is actually what we can live on. We think that, well, I've earned this money, it's all mine, and then I'm going to go ahead and do whatever I want to do with that money. And sometimes we find justification. We find justification for everything we spend. We find a way of saying that this is necessary and when it is not actually necessary. So if you learn to live on 90% of your income, you realize that the changes are not that much. They are not really that drastic. All you've done is that you are becoming more financially disciplined. You are beginning to pay yourself first. So what this is called is delayed gratification, right? Those things that look very shiny to you, that look very, very attractive to you at all times. And they are pleasures, they are treasures, they are things that really you fancy. Can you delay them? Can you delay it not this month? Okay, I'm going to look at it again next month and see if I still need it. Yeah? If you delay that gratification, you will realize that you can actually survive without that desire, without that pleasure you thought you could not survive without. When you delay that gratification, what it enables you to do is to build some good foundation, financial foundation for yourself by setting aside 10% of your earnings. So if you're earning £2,000, like I said, you've set aside £200, you already know that that £200 will never ever be touched under any circumstance. That is what you are paying yourself. That is the reward of your hard work and your sweat. That is the buffer you are building. That is the foundation to your wealthy lifestyle that you are building. Anytime you want to touch it, remember why you are putting it aside. That the goal is to become wealthy. And to become wealthy, you must learn to live on 90% of your earnings at least. Now, your savings, which you have set aside, those are the wages that you're paying yourself. Because you are the CEO of yourself. I am the CEO of fictional PLC. And if I do not pay myself, nobody will pay me. What I am receiving in income from anybody paying me for my services or for my salary is basically going into the general purse, from which I am beginning to disburse funds. And the first person on the list of my funds is myself. I pay myself 10% of what I earn. I structure the remaining expenditures and whatever I have to spend around 90% of my earnings. Now, what your savings do is that when you look at the savings that you have made, they bring you joy, they give you satisfaction, they give you fulfillment. You have a sense of satisfaction that I have been able to discipline myself and do well. And another thing it does is that it gives you hope for the future. Because, yeah, this is my savings. But you have done this for like a couple of months, and you look at your savings account and you said, I never believed I could do this. I never believed I could be this financially disciplined. I did not believe that I could look at my savings account and I have this much money in there. Why have I not done this? That's the only question you begin to ask yourself. Why did I not start doing this early enough? Because it gives you hope for the future, that your future is bright and you are on the right path to financial freedom. You're on the right path to building something solid for yourself in your financial future. When you see your purse growing, because each time you take 10% and put away this month, next month you're paid again, you take 10% and you put away, you take another 10% next month and you put away, that is when your purse starts fattening. That's your financial purse starts growing fatter and fatter by every deposit that you make into that. Right? So, you either save for a purpose, or you save because you want to build an emergency fund, or you save because you want to invest. Right? Those motives are the things that keep you going. You might want to buy a land, for example, and you say, okay, I'm going to save towards this land. I want to buy this land. In the next 1 year, I want to buy a land, and I'm going to save towards it. So, for example, you live maybe somewhere in Nigeria, and you say, I want to buy a land, say about 1 million naira, and how much is it going to cost me to save towards that land? That you can open up a savings account for that land purchase project. It becomes a purpose for you, and then you start saving into it. In the next 1 year, you have saved 1.2 million. If you are saving 100,000 every month towards that, and 1.2 million naira, you can go and look for the land that costs about 1 million naira and buy that land. So that is where you have put that saving. That's the purpose. You can also save for emergency fund purposes. Your emergency fund should be an equivalent of at least 6 months of your salary or your income. So if you're earning £2,000 every month, your emergency fund should be at least £12,000 in savings. How long does it take you to build that? Now you know. That's for me to be secure financially, to know that in the event of emergencies, I can live on at least 6 months of my salary. Because the job you have at the moment is not guaranteed. You might lose that job tomorrow. And if you lose that job tomorrow, what are you going to do? That is an emergency. So you just tell yourself, I need 6 months to get myself back on my feet. Right? And if I have that 6 months to get myself back on my feet, at least myself and my family, we are going to be okay. Right? And that's why you are building the emergency fund. So imagine if you're saving £200 every month to build an emergency fund. It will take you 60 months to build at least 6 months equivalent of your salary. That is 5 years on the basis of 10% each. So can you see how long you need to be in job for you to even have savings of equivalent of 6 months of your salary? You have to be in that job for 5 years and to consistently be able to save 10% of £2,000 to give you 6 months equivalent of your income in emergency fund. Now it's now down to you to decide how quickly you want to build that emergency fund. So if you think, well, 60 months is such a long time, I can live on 80% of my salary, so I can afford to do £400 every month. £400 every month, you need 30 months. That's 2.5 years to build 6 months equivalent of your salary. These are the things you have to sit down with, because in emergency, that's what it is. That money does not get touched unless in emergency. Emergency could also be a situation of life and death. Maybe there's a life-saving operation that needs to be done, and if you don't get that money out and pay, then that is, it's going to be catastrophic. So that emergency fund has to be easily accessible. It has to be in an account where you can easily access it. So it has to be in a normal savings account. Because if you need it and you can't access it in emergency, then it has failed the purpose. So imagine if you didn't have that emergency fund, and there was a case of life and death, and there was nowhere to pull money out from. We have seen people die because they couldn't come up with deposits in the hospital to pay down for treatment to commence. Before they could run around to raise money, the person has died. But imagine if you had emergency fund, and you have built that emergency fund, over the years, you could have been able to save somebody's life. That emergency fund could actually be a case of, if you're a business person and you lost your business, maybe you lost your shop, or you lost the office, you lost, the contract that kept you going, and you all of a sudden you find yourself unemployed, and you used to be self-employed. If you have 6 months worth of earnings that you used to have when you were self-employed, you would be at least okay for the next 6 months and your family until you find your feet back. Or if you fall sick and you are unable to fend for yourself, you are unable to earn, you are unable to work, what do? What if that sickness drags on for 6 months and there is no provision by your employer for sick pay? You are left all to yourself and by yourself. What if you are self-employed and you fall sick and you cannot even work? There is no sick pay coming from anywhere. That emergency fund becomes useful to you. And that's where you begin to see the value of having to pay yourself first. If you didn't do that, you would have been in deep trouble. So once you start the practice of saving, make it a habit, right? Automate your savings. Chinwe, well done. Thanks for coming on here. Automate your savings. Set up a direct debit so that each time you get paid, that direct debit goes out to your savings account. And set that direct debit up close to when you are getting paid. If you get paid on the 27th of every month, set your direct debit or your standing order up on the 28th of the month. Now, I understand some situations like that might not be perfect because I was talking to one of my mentees from Nigeria about this. And he said, I would really love to do this, but, the inconsistency in when we get paid makes it difficult for me to automate it. I would like to set up a standing order to get this money out of my account. But how do you deal with the inconsistency of we getting paid? Sometimes we get paid on the 30th, the next month we get paid on the 5th, the next time we get paid on the 3rd. So much irregularity. Well, you can't control that, really. You cannot help that. But if you set up the, just know when contractually you should be paid. Set up the standing order to go out then. If it doesn't go out, if you don't get paid by then, your bank, you just let your bank know that, look, this standing order is not going out because we haven't been paid. Once we get paid, you take the standing order, or the standing order goes out. The reason automated savings works, especially people who are starting up to save, is because it helps you become disciplined automatically. Because not everybody has that financial discipline to be able to take that money out themselves and put it in a savings account. But if you can do it manually, fine. But if you don't trust yourself that much, please automate those savings so that you know that come rain, come shine, you've paid yourself first before anything else goes out of your account. So that is commandment number 1. Commandment number 2 is to control your expenses. The second commandment of our financial commandments is control your expenses. So you see, some people laugh off the concept of saving 10% of their earnings, because according to them, their earnings are not even enough to carry their expenses. And I have heard that comment on one of my social media posts on Facebook, where one of my friends said, Ikenna, it's very easy for you to talk because you are abroad. You don't know what people are passing through here in Nigeria. Sometimes some of us, what we even earn is not even enough to cover the expenses. Talk more of savings, So you have to eat first before you talk of saving. I get that, all right? I am not saying that, it's ideal for everybody. I get that. But listen to this. I'm going to ask you a question. Why is it that people who earn a lot and people who earn a little have the same financial problem? Do you know that people who earn a lot, some are also declared bankrupt in some cases, and people who earn a little also go bankrupt? Why is that? So if it's all about earnings and how much you're earning, why is it that a lot of these high-profile people, have you not heard of footballers, Premier League footballers, who went bankrupt? These guys used to earn tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds every week. I mean, imagine just, let's say, £100,000 per week. That is every Friday. Kitchen 100,000 in your account every Friday, kitchen 100,000 in pounds every week. And this person might have had like 10 years of footballing career, and then later on you hear that the person has gone bankrupt. We all had the case of Emmanuel Ebue some time ago. He was so poor, so bankrupt that he was sleeping on a friend's couch. That some of his, past clubs were trying to help him, to stand on his feet again. We've had cases of a lot of footballers who went bankrupt, who became so poor. Why? So if it's all down to how much you are earning, that is what determines, how comfortable you are, whether it can carry expenses or not. These guys had more than enough money to live on and to spend on what they do. But what happened? So why does that happen? Why is it that people who earn a lot and people who earn a little suffer the same financial problem because of lack of financial discipline? So what happens then is that the things you call necessary expenses to meet your income, they fail if you do not put those things in check. The things you call necessary expenses are not usually very necessary, because the necessary expenses we coin out of our desires and our pleasures are sometimes things that we can easily afford not to spend money on. Have you taken a look at your wardrobe recently and checked the clothes in that wardrobe? How many of them have you worn? And when was the last time you wore some of them? Have you taken a look at your shoes and wondered, when was the last time I wore this shoe? But do you know, when you were trying to buy that shoe, something justified that shoe to say, I really, really need this shoe. I haven't got any brown shoes that I used to go to work. I really need to buy that shoe. And you bought it. You wore it maybe once or twice, and that's it. The next moment, your friend is wedding, and he's selling a green theme clothing. And you buy that green clothes, and you need a green shoe to go with it. Yes. Oh, it's very necessary I go and buy this green shoe to support my friend who is wedding. Off you go to the market, green shoe, there you go, you wear that one, that's it. Oh, there's another occasion coming up and I need a brown bag to match this top. You get the brown bag. Have you checked your bags lately and see when was the last time you even carried a bag? The things we coin as necessary, sometimes it might even be your children and the demands they are coming up with. Oh, Daddy, I need this Nintendo game. Oh, this boy, it's been a while I've not bought him Nintendo. The last one I bought him was, it was the last version 9.1. Oh, 10.1 is out. Let me go and get him that one, just to keep him off my radar. I mean, just let him not disturb me. You go and get it. He plays it for 1 week and he's bored of it. He dumps it there. So, I'm just giving these things as an example, okay? Because sometimes we try to justify the things that we spend money on as necessary. But have you tried to define necessary? So what we then do is that we confuse necessary expenses with our desires. Okay? We confuse necessary expenses with our desires. And then those desires end up being more than our earnings can carry. You need a change of wardrobe. You go for it. You need a change of shoes. You go for it. Oh, I need to change this dining table. I've had it for a couple of years. You go for it. Mwamaka, well done. Thanks for coming on board. You begin to justify all of them. Oh, this TV is now too small. We need a bigger TV. So you spend your earnings satisfying those desires. And one thing you fail to understand is that those desires are actually insatiable. You cannot satisfy them. So what you need to do is to recognize and place a limit to these things. The things you spend money on, recognize and place a limit on them, because wherever you allow your desires space, they will grow. And what desires do is that the moment you leave a room for it, if you visited a vegetable farm or a farm before, you see that wherever there is space, weeds grow alongside the real seeds and the farm crops there. Weeds will always grow wherever the space is left. So wherever you leave a space in your mind, in your mindset, for these desires to grow, they will keep growing, and they will keep growing, and they will keep growing. So what you need to do is to go through your spending habits, print out your bank statements, and start what we call budgeting. The best tool to control your expenses is budgeting. Budgeting is simply the allocation of scarce resources. Your bank statement will tell you what you've been spending money on. You know what? I like paying for things with my card. because what it does is that my bank statement tells me where I've been spending money on. I don't like paying for things with cash a lot because I can't keep track of my spending and my expenses with cash. But with my card, it's all reflecting on your bank statements. Print out your bank statement and then have a look at your bank statement. You will see where you've been spending your money on. What budgeting does is that budgeting allows you to allocate money where it should go and not allow money to control you. It allows you to control your money and tell it where it should go, and not you asking yourself where your money has gone at the end of the month. So this kind of financial discipline, the easiest way to attain it is by budgeting. But as simple as budgeting is, a lot of people have not even paid attention to it. All you need to do is to write down the lists of things that you spend money on and how much you spend on each. And then you begin to mark which of those things are necessary and which of them are not necessary. And as you are marking them, you are building it around the 90% of your income. Yeah, if the 90% of your income cannot carry that, then it's not necessary. The real things that you need to live on should be within the 90% of that income that you've decided to live in. So budgeting gives you control. Budgeting allows your savings to grow. Yeah, because budgeting is your financial assistant that helps you defend your fortress. And your fortress are your savings and the things that you have built, you are building for yourself. Anything that will attack that 10% that you have set aside, budgeting stands in the way of that attack. Hey, this is not budgeted for. It's like a bouncer, a nightclub. Hey, your name is not on the list. Psh, you're not going in. And off you go. And anything you cannot spend that 90% on, do not regret it. It's not important. There's no need crying over it. It's simply not necessary. Okay, now, and budgeting then enables you to have the things that you cherish, because it means that the things you're spending money on are the things that are really of value for you. What you should aim at is getting 100% value on every penny you spend. Let people say whatever they want to say about you being too tight and too stingy and too whatever with money. You are building your financial future. They can do whatever they want with their own money. You have earned the money. You do what you want to do with it. Every penny you spend, you get 100% value for that. What budgeting also does is that budgeting allows you to identify the leaks in your finances, where money has been leaking from. Oh, this is what I've spent this money on. Actually, I didn't have to do this. But the moment you start setting 10% of your income aside, you start building your 90% around the things that matters to you. You start fixing those leakages. You start fixing those leaks. Money stops leaking from your pockets. You stop looking for where your money is going to, because you are now directing where the money is going to. So your aim is spending any money to get maximum value on that money. Your bank statement reveals to you everything and everywhere your money has been going, which is why you should try as much as possible to spend money on your card so that you can tell yourself where you have been spending money, or make bank transfers, things that are traceable. Okay, so if you also look at the bills you pay, find out how much you can save on those bills. In this country, UK, we have, phone contracts, we have internet broadband, we have, phone line contract, we have TV contracts, we have all manner of utility bills and, service providers. Can you get something cheaper? If you can get it cheaper. At the same time, get the same value that you're getting for it and save what you can save on that. Some people just go and they take on, mobile phone contract because they want the latest phone in town. The latest phone in town comes with, let's say, £60 a month. Or unlimited data. This shiny iPhone 11 comes with that, £55 per month, only £55 per month. And you have unlimited data, you have unlimited calls, unlimited texts. You can even call from abroad and all the rest of them. How many times have you traveled abroad? Yeah, you've got all those features. How many times have you used them? The unlimited data on your phone, how much of it do you actually use? And that shiny phone that, you think performs magic, there's no cash machine on that phone. The same Facebook, the same Twitter, the same Instagram, the same social media somebody can download on their cheap phone. That's the same thing you're going to download there. Yeah, the pictures are going to be brighter. Is it worth it? If you can afford it, fine. But if you pay all these heavy bills and at the end of the month you're still crying that you're poor, no, you are the poverty yourself. Yeah, because I renewed my phone contract recently. I think I put up something like on my social media post some time ago. I was paying £20 a month, yeah, for my SIM only deal, which had unlimited data, unlimited text, unlimited phone calls, and all the rest of them. The moment the contract ended, and I rang the phone provider, I said, what's the cheapest package available for me? And they said, okay, let's look at what you've got. You've got unlimited data. And I asked them, hold on a minute, how much data do I use every month, really, from this unlimited? And they said, well, you average 5 GB every month. I said, really? I said, okay, so what package have you got that will give me what I need, which is like average of 5 gig every month? And then they looked at the packages they have. By the time they designed the new packages for me with the 5 gig and, the SIM only deal and unlimited, I need the unlimited call because I make a lot of calls. Unlimited text, I need it because I make a lot of text. Do you know that my phone bill came down from £20 a month to £10 a month on SIM only? Because I already have a phone. I don't need a new phone. I do not need a brand new phone just yet. If I want it, I'll go and get it and I'll go and buy it. And I'll buy what I can afford. From £20 to £10 a month. I looked at my internet and my phone my broadband deals, and I renegotiated everything when the contract ended, including savings from my mobile and the savings from my internet and broadband and phone line contracts. I was able to save, I think it was 40-something pounds every month from, working all that out. There you go. That is extra 40-something pounds for me to save. And I put it in my savings account every single month. Multiply that by 24 months, by 18 months that the contract was meant to have. That's over 700 and something pounds for that period of 18 months. It's amazing how much money we waste because we are just too casual about things. And that is what wealthy people do. They look at every single thing they do, whether they get value from it. Whatever they buy must be of value to them. If it's not of value to them, they don't do it. Now, the other thing I need you to also understand is that, when I told you that you were crying that your money doesn't even take care of your expenses, and I'm talking of savings. Now listen to this. Your desires, right? Your desires will grow to fit into the size of your income any day, anytime. Your desires will grow to fit into the size of your income any day, anytime. And this is why rich people go bankrupt. Poor people go bankrupt. Because the more money you earn, the bigger your desire grows. When you get a promotion at work, already your desire starts telling you that, man, you need new shirts, new tie, new suits, new shoes, because you've got to a new level. Level don't change. Yeah, according to my Nigerian brothers. You've stepped up, man, you've got to step it up. Or you've got to start using more expensive perfumes. Because you see, guys at your level, the perfume they wear is no longer the level you're wearing. But it's time to change your car, This car doesn't fit your status anymore because you've come up a notch. Oh, it's time to increase the size of this TV. It was 55 inches. You went to your friend's house the other day. Didn't you see the 75 inches mounted on his wall? Come on, you need to step up. That's the category. That's where you belong now. Your desires begin to grow as your income grows, and they grow to fit the size of that income as it grows. What puts those things in check is budgeting and savings. The moment you set your 10% aside to start with, the remaining 90% you apportion to whatever is left. No matter what, you must not go beyond that 90%. Whatever that 90% cannot carry is not necessary and it's not important. Financial discipline, that is what it is all about. So guys, that's how to keep your expenditures in check. Right? Do not let your desires control your expenses. Let budgeting control your expenses. And the moment when you start from these first two principles, by next week, we're going to come back with more of the financial commandments. But I want to challenge you with these first two commandments first to go and put them to practice. Savings and budgeting. And that is controlling your expenditures and control it through budgeting. Okay? Those are the two simple principles that I need you to go home and apply. And once you apply it, we'll come back next week and we'll start talking about the other principles and the other commandments of finance. All right, guys, thank you very much for being here, and thanks for your time, and thanks for sticking with me. Yeah, and I hope to see you guys again next week. Any questions, please do not fail to fire away your questions to me. Send them in the comments on whatever platform you are viewing this, or you can send me a private message and let's have a chat. And then please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type my name in, Ikenna Omezudike. That's my YouTube channel, and subscribe to it, because everything we do, we upload them on YouTube. That is a better version for you to consume all our past episodes and series. Please go to our YouTube channel, and there is a lot more content on there for you to consume if you want to. So God bless you, and I'll see you again next week. Take care and goodbye.